Hi, welcome back to Nosh. This is Geeta here with Tatu. Hi, Tatu.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm really good, and I'm looking forward to this session, having a conversation about fat. Cooking fat, to be specific. It's a really controversial topic, and when I said to Tati, can we please talk about good fats and bad fats, she was like, do we have to? But I think that part of our job is to give you some kind of help and guidance to what we think is a good thing to eat and why we think it. So we're going to have a little conversation now about cooking fats, fat generally, what we do with it, what we should do and what we should do. And again, this is our opinion. So Tati, what do you mean by controversial topic?
Well, I think there's lots of research around that sort of going down the yes, let's cook with olive oil, no, let's not cook with olive oil, let's cook with butter, let's not cook with butter. The oils are really, really different, and that's why it's so tricky to get round it. Things like olive oil, it's a monounsaturated fat, which means it's got one double bond in it, and double bonds, you think double bonds might be stronger than a single bond, but in fact they're much weaker. So when they're heated up, they tend to move. So things like a monounsaturated fat is less likely to move around and get damaged and become a trans fat, which is what we're trying to avoid consuming at the moment.
Okay, so wait, let's stop a minute there. So you're saying that a monounsaturated fat is not a good thing. And it's not a good thing because when you heat it up, it becomes a trans fat.
Yeah, well, that's where it's tricky.
Okay, so hang on a second. What is it? What is the definition? Show, for example, what's a monounsaturated fat?
Olive oil is a monounsaturated fat. It's got one double bond in it. And
so then it becomes tricky because...
Only when you heat it.
Got it.
That's the problem. It's the heating aspect. When it's extra virgin, cold pressed, it's beautiful in your body. It's really, really important for the integrity of cellular membranes, as are polyunsaturated fats. It's when you heat them it becomes a problem. So you want to keep cooking preferably to saturated fats or with no added fats at all, because you have natural fats in all the foods. So if you want to cooking with things like ghee, butter, and coconut oil, it is much better, especially at high temperatures.
Right, so what we're basically saying, I've never really understood this before, so what we're saying is that if you take olive oil, which is supposed to be really good for you, that is a good thing, but take olive oil and then don't cook it. So it's great in a salad, it's great cold, it's great as a dressing, that's brilliant. The minute you heat it, it then becomes something else and something that's not great for you. So if you're going to in any way heat oil, then pick oils that are good at high temperatures,
exactly.
Which, for example, is coconut oil, butter, and ghee, which is clarified butter.
Yeah, and you can do things like you can drizzle olive oil over your pastas or, whatever it might be that you've prepared for yourself. So you can drizzle it on top, and that's not too hot. It's when you start, doing things like stir fries in peanut oil. Big, bad idea. Tastes divine, but not very good health-wise. Things like sesame oil, it's a very, very delicate oil, so as soon as you heat it, it's a really bad idea. And also, I don't know if you've noticed, when you cook with olive oil, you lose that really beautiful, aromatic, nutty flavour. And when you put it on fresh, it's incredible.
Well, then that's also why, because, for example, we used to use soya margarine in the house, because we don't take dairy. And Tatu came to us and basically said, look, this margarine that you're eating is pretty much like plastic. And what you should be doing instead is using something like a non-hydrogenated margarine instead, which is what we're now using. Now, why would that be?
Just simply because it's been so altered and moved so many times. Because if you think about it, it was a liquid, and what was the process to take it to being a solid, to make it into a trans fat, to change the shape of it so that it holds a solid form? It's really quite dangerous, and with a lot of margarines, that is the case. So if you're going to go for margarines, go and spend a little bit more money and read all the labels. Make sure that you're getting something safe and something that your body can recognize and utilize, especially when it comes to cellular integrity. So the the outside of your cells needs a certain amount of saturated and unsaturated fats to be able to hold together. But when you've got trans fats, they're completely useless and often quite damaging in the body.
Yeah, now that's like the third time you've mentioned trans fat. So a trans fat is a fat that could be good for you, but once it's been heated or treated or chemicalized or processed, has now become something that actually isn't really great for you.
Yeah, a fat in its original form. So let's take sunflower oil. So we managed to get hold of some really amazing cold pressed sunflower oil. And then we decided we wanted to make margarine out of it. So we changed it and processed it. And we created a trans fat that has the appearance of a saturated fat. But it's a trans fat. It's not a natural format. It's not something that we can utilize. And,
So we think we're doing something great by not having butter. And in fact, we're better off having the butter in its full capacity than having this modified rubbish that's sort of like a plastic bag.
Yes, and the key is, really thought. I think the key is although butter's really delicious and it's very, very dangerous to put loads on everything, the key with any fat is to not overindulge. You need to keep it to a minimum, which is quite difficult because humans they naturally go for the tastes of fats and of sugars because they contain fantastic sources of energy, which was very important when we were sort of running around with no clothes on. But we've got clothes now and we're not running very much.
But it's true. I mean, and in my field of expertise, I regularly see people coming in who want to lose weight. And I'm always saying that you need to have enough fat in your body, but you need to have enough good fat in your system. And so what we're saying is part of how to get that good fat is to make sure that you're buying really, really good products and then don't alter them by using them for heating. So if you're going to cook, basically, Tatu, to wrap up, for cooking fats, what fats would you use to cook with?
I think coconut is the best option at the moment because it has zero cholesterol, and I think that's a major concern for a lot of people out there. So I'm on the coconut oil bandwagon.
Awesome. So use coconut oil, and it's a really, really good way for you to preserve your health and still know you're doing something good. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, Tatu, and we'll speak to you soon.
Okay. Goodbye.